I second it. And this time I'm going to hand it over to Greg.
Are there nominations for president?
I'd like to make a nomination. I'd like to nominate Denny Henderson. He served on the council over the last term, and he'll have another term representing the shop.
Second. Oh, sorry. Are there other nominations? Hearing none, they close the nominations. All in favor of Denny Henderson for president, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Yes, the next item of business would be to elect vice president. Nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Jim Powell. I do feel that it was, and I know the new member, I feel like this is good to start the transition into that area. There'll be some of us going off in 2 years probably, and I think getting the new members, will 2 years longer involved in that process.
That's second. That was.
It's been moved and seconded to nominate Jim Powell. Is there anyone else? Is there a motion to close the nomination?
A motion to close.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of Jim Powell as vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Jim, you're a new vice president.
Jump in there.
All of our offices. So. It says our meeting schedule. We need to discuss that.
I think, unless Greg, did you change what I sent out on the meetings?
No,
What changes did?
now you make any changes to what you said.
Okay.
Is that, was I talking on the back of it?
Yeah.
Was there a need to change?
I don't think so.
The third Tuesday of each month.
Yes.
And those do not include like the budget hearings or any additional meetings or executive session meetings. And we just don't do everything.
I looked at the one you sent out there too.
Okay. All right.
I did too. So.
And that has gone to the newspaper, correct?
Yes. Let's see, is there a motion to accept our meeting schedule?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the meeting schedule as presented by Beth sent out to us. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a recommendation that we amend the agenda to move Jackie Clemens with Maximus up before the appointments, which will take a little time, so she can give us a report on the county.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to amend our agenda and move Jackie Clemens up for our appointments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So, Jackie.
Thank you.
Good evening. Ooh, that's loud. I have this time brought a report of kind of where we are, what we have done to this point since we have new members on the board, what we've done to this point, where we are. For those of you that attended the commissioners meeting yesterday, this pretty much is the same thing except we added a couple of things. On the drain fund, I've worked with the surveyor's office and the auditor's office, and I gave them a spreadsheet that will help them identify the differences between their ledgers and the auditor's ledgers and the surveyor's, spreadsheet that he keeps of the itemized drains. They're going to have to go back 2 years, all the way to January of 11, and see where their differences are. And then we're going to appeal to the Board of Accounts to allow us to move anything they don't find from the General Drain Maintenance Fund into the General Drain Improvement Fund, which is where it would be, is probably where it should be anyway. We're pretty convinced that it's repayables. When the money is receipted in from the collection, it's receipted into the Drain Maintenance Fund, and then those funds that have a deficit in the improvement fund for a repayable need repaid. That has not been done for the last 2 years. We know the amounts, but it still doesn't match up. I found a couple of claims that were paid through the auditor's office that weren't in the surveyor's books. So I created a spreadsheet for them to be able to each make the same spreadsheet from their own ledgers, and then we'll be able to mill them together and see where our differences are. Then we'll make the repayables, and then we'll appeal to the Board of Accounts to allow us to move the difference in the maintenance fund into the General Drain Improvement Fund.
That's going to be your follow-up, Jackie, then you'll make sure that that's all.
Yes. And I spoke with both of them today. They think they'll be able to have it done sometime next week.
Okay.
And then we'll be following up, and then we'll make those differences. The other thing we did was we got some notice that the Title 4D incentive money had been possibly receipted into the wrong place. And the only thing that really has been receipted into the wrong place is the general fund incentive. Used to, it went right into the general fund. A year ago, the state came through and said, no, you've got to set it aside. And so there's a little bit of money that was quietused into the general drain, excuse me, the county general Title 4D incentive that needs to be moved into, and it's $10,000. Not a lot of money. I sent that to Greg this afternoon with copies of all of his EFT notifications or remittance notices that he gets from DCS to back that all up. And then I also copied Bonita on it because she's going to need to make a decision on what way we want to move forward with getting it ready done for the end of the year, because Greg's going to have to report to DCS those balances in those 3 incentive funds that are there. So everything else is pretty much, I've started today working on the payroll fund. We've got a few minor issues there, and again, part of it stems from the way adjustments were made to payroll. It's hard to track those adjustments the way they were trained to make them, and so I'm starting through there. I don't think it's going to be too awfully bad, but I should have that done in probably a couple of days to report back. And the last thing that we'll have is finding where all of those EFTs belong that aren't currently already in the bank. That's where we are.
How much more time do you have?
I have 50 hours left.
A lot of.
Will you get it done in that time frame?
I'll get this part done, yeah, in that time frame, I think. Because again, on the EFTs, I talked to Tammy White with the State Board of Accounts when we were down at the newly elected officials conference, and again said to her, you know, what do we do if we can't find? Because some of the EFTs went in without notification. There are some that go in from different departments, like the criminal justice and some of those, that sometimes notification isn't sent to anybody. And so we'll hunt for those, but if we can't find those, what do we do? And my suggestion to her was, could we appeal to put the money that we don't identify into the rainy day? And she said that would be a great solution. That when we get to that point, we've given our best effort to find where those EFTs belong, that if we can't find them, then we'll write a letter to appeal to put them in the rainy day.
What happens if later down the road we find out where they should have been?
Then all you have to do is write the check out a rainy day and put it back where it belongs.
And you say the EFTs at times, there's no notification that it has been deposited?
Yeah, notifications get lost all the time, and sometimes it's from between a department at the state when they notify the state auditor's office to send them out. Some just don't have good notification with them. And we've gotten copies of all of the EFT notifications from the state auditor's office. I got 2012s on late Friday afternoon because I need one of those to correct the operation pullover difference that we have. And it's always been that way. I don't know why they get lost. But then we also had a time where we had issues with things coming from the state auditor's office. Emails they know they sent didn't get here. So, you know, could be a firewall, could be lots of things.
Okay, but then typically they'd be notifying the auditor's office?
They notify the auditor and the treasurer both
Together.
with EFT notifications. They're both on there, I believe.
If you did that on a monthly basis, though, that shouldn't be a real
Right.
problem.
Exactly. When they go forward, that won't be a problem as they're balanced, because they've identified that, and that isn't a problem in the latter part of 2012. Because Bonita and Greg have worked to make sure that those EFTs that she's finding at the bank when she reconciles monthly are in the system. Thank you.
Well, one question I had, can the treasurer and the auditor both go online daily and check the balance or the daily activity of the bank?
I don't know, I'm sure the treasurer can, but I'm not sure the auditor would have the right to do that. I think it would be outside of their realm of authority to get in to check the bank account that way. I mean, that's a treasurer's duty. I mean, I suppose you could probably set that up if you wanted to, but I don't know of any county where the auditor can go in and look at the bank accounts online.
Or the treasurer still could?
Yeah, you have the ability to get, yeah, she can get into her site anytime.
Any other questions for Jackie?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, we'll pull that microphone back a little bit so they can hear better in the back. Sorry.
She's going, I can't hear her in.
Hey, Jim, they just got individual control over it.
Okay.
An innocent
I'll
back.
make a motion to amend the agenda to allow the executive presentation.
Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda again and allow Benita to make her presentation at this time. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Benita?
Bonita should be in your green cover.
I would like to transfer money out of my part-time help, $5,000, and put in professional services. And the reason I need to do this is I need a CPA to help me to finish balancing the bank account for Harris Bank. With the corrections Jackie has made, and we need to finalize this, and I've had her help me before, and she's done a lot of work for no pay. So I have a copy of the contract that she's going to sign. And then I would like to have an additional appropriation to put $5,000 back in my part-time pay, because I need that to collect taxes, and to put $5,000 in professional services in case it takes all of that. Any questions?
You might just tell them about your discussion with the board commissioners yesterday.
Okay. Yesterday, I talked to commissioners to see if they would approve the contract for Suzanne Miller. To help reconcile the bank. And they did agree to do that, provided good funding.
In talking with Juanita, the transfer will allow Suzanne to go ahead and continue working. Suzanne has a major big project. She starts the CAFRA for Hamilton County at the end of the month. So, and that's huge. And so when she does, her time will be limited that she can spend here. So we didn't like to continue, so she didn't have any interruption there, waiting on additional appropriation. Bonnie's going ahead and requesting that we advertise for our next meeting. However, you know, at that time, if we haven't received notice back from the state that our budgets have passed, then I think we should, you know, just prolong that another month. Last year, our budget orders came through on Valentine's Day. So hopefully it'll be February this year again. And I did see where they're holding our hearings the end of the month, the 23rd, 28th, something like that.
23rd.
So it's usually not long after they hold the hearing here in the county to see if there's any objections to the budget. Usually it's about 10 days later because people have a right to appeal. So I think hopefully we should have by our February meeting, there should be the 1782, is that? 1782 notice back by the state, which then we'll know exactly the 5,000 additional appropriated back into her part-time is one thing, but the additional 5 would be.
Benita, you might also tell the council approximately how many hours Suzanne has worked free of charge too, so.
She worked, she's probably spent 75 or 100 hours on it.
On her own, so $100 sounds like a lot, but if you average it over all the hours she's worked, it's pretty minimal.
It's time consuming because she goes back and just recreates.
What type of schedule will she have? Will she be in here certain days a week, so many hours?
Some of it she does at home, and she comes in, you know, maybe half a day at a time. And sometimes I go to her office in Elwood. Just different ways, whatever's good for her.
Her bank receipt, her spreadsheets are unbelievable. And, you know, that'll be open for any of us to review. The council wants to look at it and see. She's got 2011. She had that January of 2012 done a month or so ago. And then as of the other day, when Bonita and I met with her and she was up to April, we were able to identify a couple of things in April, so hopefully that'll move on real fast to read. There was a lot of major things in August, some corrections and stuff that Bonita made that Suzanne will be able to go back and review to make sure those have been corrected, you know, in the way they should, so those don't continue to hang on. So I think Suzanne will make it, she'll be those facts that she can get this done.
What is your current out of balance amount?
We don't because she, you know, keeps going forward and then may have to go back. And I think she's down to $600 the other day for April. If it moves forward, it may have to go back. So we don't really have.
We identified 38,000 that we were off in April, and it left us $684. So, and that's like bringing us from December 31st up. So that's continuing to grow. That's not been identified. I feel like if we can get the banks in balance and we can come up with $1,000 or under, then we need to just ask the state to allow us to make that journal entry and start at that point. Because otherwise, there's no sense in spending $100 an hour to find $1,000. You know, and Suzanne has also gave Juanita some recommendations on how to make things go a little smoother in her office in this check and balance.
I think $1,000 is a fair breakoff at $100 an hour.
I think it needs to be, that needs to be expanded a little bit. I think that's, you know, if we get somewhere, maybe we'll determine that at a later date.
And I'm just,
Yeah.
I think Suzanne will work it hard enough, and she'll, right now, the $684, she's not happy with, so.
Do you need a motion for the transfer. So I would move to approve the transfer that Benita's requested.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the transfer for professional services. Question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And also move to request additional appropriation, advertising.
Does here,
Okay, it's moved and seconded
do you want to specify 5,000 to part-time and 5,000 to professional services?
County treasurers, vacation, part-time account.
we specify where it's coming from.
The additional appropriation.
County general fund.
It'll be general fund cash.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to advertise for additional appropriation for the treasurer of 5,000 for professional services and 5,000 for
Outside of the
Outside of
services and part-time.
and part-time. Okay, is there any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Thank you, Benita.
Thank you.
A lot of pressure on them.
Can we change one more time? The agenda. Beth and I would like to make a request to the council to form a committee to allow us to do that this way. Okay. We'll need a motion to do so.
Make a motion to amend the agenda to allow discussion about a new council committee.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda to discuss new committee. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
You have a little synopsis what we went over here. This was presented to the commissioners yesterday. As we as a council have talked off and on numerous times throughout the months about the finances of this county, we'd like to form this committee. And it could be, at this time, we have one commissioner, two council members, the auditor, of course, and the treasurer. It's just kind of I guess we're going to be calling it an audit finance committee, not to be construed with the board of finance, which are the commissioners. Basically, this board would be charged to look at what's happened, what documentation we have in place to show the corrections, and the actual finances in which shape we were in, where we're at today, and where we need to be tomorrow, before we continue to spend money. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's the which sums it up. We would report back to the commissioners because they actually initiated the contracts. If there would be something where we felt that we are to a point where we need to start gearing down on a contract, then we need to make that recommendation to them. Our charge would be complete after we've looked at all this and made recommendations, unless the commissioners or the council want to continue on with the committee. Commissioner Van Bierber asked that it be a standing committee, and I think the commissioners felt like it should be. That's something we'll have to discuss. Right now, our goal is just to kind of get a grip of this. I felt like we don't have the documentation in place, because I know our direction was we wanted to see some of these finances maybe recouped back and filed against the bond on the previous auditor, and the documentation's not there to do that yet.
So the composition of the committee is, it's called out here.
That's open for discussion.
And it's open for, at first I said 3, then changed 2. There is no, there's no rhyme or reason why it was 2. It's any,
With, and Maximus is intended to be a member of the committee.
no, they would not be a member, no.
Okay.
No, this would be only the would only be the elected officials.
But we would,
Maximus would be involved in it. You would need to look at the Maximus contract, the scope of work, where we're at with the scope of work, and where we're going with the scope of work.
this committee would be with Maximus on a regular basis or a call basis or,
Right. Just so will we have to have a contract with Maximus then for them to meet with us and advise the committee?
No, our recommendations will go back to the commissioners and only recommending, and then go from there.
this isn't for Maximus to advise us. I think my thought of the committee is that, we're going to question Maximus and try to get some answers from Maximus. Some of the questions that we've had, and then that way, with the council, president, commissioner's president, treasurer, and the auditor, we're all hearing the same thing. Right. And then, that's kind of my thought process on this.
I think there's been some new best practices put into effect. And, I think it'll be nice if we're all abreast of what's going on with those. So, we don't end up going this direction again.
Well, they kind of get our hands around it.
Exactly, and I feel like to the residents, we need to take some ownership here, and this is our way of showing that we're making sure that what we spent out, has been verified, documented, and we're ready to move forward with whatever else.
How many members at this time?
What we recommended to the commissioners was just the 2 council, 1 commissioner, the auditor, and the treasurer.
So you
Yeah, I heard that at the commissioners meeting, and I thought maybe it'd be appropriate to have a 3rd member of the council. Not because I necessarily want to be one, but I wouldn't be willing to. But yeah, I think more involvement we have for the council, I look at it more as an educational opportunity. If I was to be involved, I think.
Definitely the education.
Quite an influence.
One thing we need to make sure of is, given a committee to the state board of council or not, these gatherings.
It is. I already cleared the state board, and I checked the state board of accounts before even bringing this forward.
So they would have to be advertised to be open. to the
Yes, we
public.
do need to advertise the meetings, however, there are other counties that have and also finance committee, but finance board, whatever, but underneath as a subcommittee for their county. Kind of works as a liaison between the units of government.
Any other questions?
I'd like to make a motion that council establish a committee. What do you want to try to name it now?
The newspaper, I think, pretty well named it Audit Finance.
Okay. Audit Finance Committee.
That sounds good.
I mean, that's what they had in the paper, so.
Which would consist of 1 county commissioner, 3 county council members, Tipton County auditor, and Tipton County treasurer.
It's been moved and seconded to establish a audit finance committee consisting of 1 commissioner, 3 council members, the auditor, and the treasurer. Is there any other questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I think we're going to get in here, Jim.
You will make those appointments.
Looks like it right now.
It's yours.
Still there.
We have volunteers for it.
Jeff and I would like to be on it.
If
nobody has any objections to it,
I think it's great.
we volunteer.
It's so respectful.
Okay.
That was kind of my thought when she threw it.
And of this committee, I would like to chair this committee.
I would agree with that.
Do we need that in a motion or appointments?
I would, in that way, if these remain standing, then this can be a standing committee that can be appointed every year, whatever commissioners and council desire.
Does council do that, does the committee make that? What?
Council,
I'd make a motion to make Beth the chair of that committee.
Second.
And we want to go ahead and add the other member of the committee, including Jim Powell and Jim Ashley.
Yes,
amendment to the
We
vote.
did the chairman.
Well, we didn't vote on that yet, so we got that motion.
Do you want to rescind your motion and just
You
include?
just want to include on the whole?
I would rescind my motion, and you can go ahead and make your motion.
Well, I'll make a motion for the audit finance committee, Beth Roach, chair of that committee, Jim Powell as a member, and Jim Ashley as a member.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to, representatives of the council, Beth Roach as the chairman, and Jim Powell, and Jim Ashley on the committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And if I might add, Jackie, I will email her some days afterwards, maybe some across the days, so we can get a meeting started. I'd like to get something. Okay, then, I'm going to interrupt.
Are we ready for appointments now? Yeah, we did. Going down through the list as it's listed, I guess our first one would be Plan Commission, a member of the council. Last year was Scott Friend.
I would like to move that Jim Ashley be the council's representative to the planning commission.
It's been moved and seconded that Jim Ashley be our member on the planning commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Zoning appeals, that's not up till 14. Or we don't have on there time. 911 executive board, we have two positions on it. It was, last year it was me and Brad Nichols, and they have to be members of the council.
I make a motion to have Denny Henderson continue as a council representative along with Jennifer Surveys. Jennifer Ritchie. Is she Ritchie or Surveys?
Ritchie.
Sorry.
What you got, Nate?
She better be anyway.
She's also a mother.
Yeah. And a new mother. Okay, is there a second to that? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we appoint me, Dennis Henderson, and Jennifer Ritchie as our appointments to the 911 executive board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Emergency Management Advisory Council.
I was just up president.
It says County Council President. Ethan,
I make a motion that Denny serves on the EMA. As president.
it's been moved and seconded that the council president serve on the EMA. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Our appointment on the Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
I make a motion that we retain Frank Lexinger.
And he did say he
He
wanted.
did say, did you call him too?
By his daughter.
Oh, I
He said
talked
he
with
would
him,
like to
I talked with
represent
him, he said he would.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to reappoint Frank Letzinger as a council representative on the Alcohol Beverage Commission. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. and seconded to appoint Jim Powell as our representative on the community corrections. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Tipton County Economic Development Commission.
Yeah, Jackie's part.
Do we have one on the Big Cicero Creek?
No, we don't
I
have.
think we have
This is the commissioner. We just have,
Yearly pipeline.
yeah, it's yearly is one commissioner. That next one is, the title for it is at the bottom.
Oh, okay, I see.
I noticed that item looks like so.
Okay.
Does anyone talk to Jackie?
I left a message with Jackie and unfortunately it was late in the afternoon, so I didn't hear back from her. So I know last year, our motion was, to go ahead and recommend her to the board, and then if she so chooses not to get renewed, we will.
Okay, this is for the City of Tipton Economic Development Commission.
Would you make a motion?
I will make that motion.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded to reappoint Jackie Carter. All in favor? Motion carried. Now, the Tipton County Economic Development Commission. Last year was Matt.
Control? Yeah. Go ahead.
I make a nomination for Troy Quinn to serve on the Tipton County Economic Development Commission. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Troy. Make sure I pronounce it right.
I'm sorry.
Close, Troy.
Serve on the Tipton County Economic Development Commission.
He has been through so many of our meetings.
I know he comes from.
And he's been our parliamentarian.
Yes, thank you for agreeing to serve.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Solid waste.
I don't know.
Okay.
Nominate Suzanne.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to nominate Suzanne Alexander as our council representative, and she was the one last year, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Goodwill Committee.
I served on that last year, and I think when I was asked to serve again, I made it clear that I do not do the morning meetings after working all night long. And so I would really not give you that time in this committee. Getting home at 4 o'clock, and being up there at 7, I get it.
That's gonna be easy for you to do it. No problem with that, would you maybe, would that be a
Yeah,
problem?
I
You
think
maybe-
that would be, yeah.
Because I want Ms. Robinson, she was, I mean,
I think
I would
she
guess.
recommended, she did request that maybe the on board, but I think with having her on the E911, that could be one to get her started with, but, an expression for the extension education, from a domicile.
How are you? Good morning.
Is that what that is?
It is a morning meeting.
We have 2 appointments. Is that
And 2
correct?
appointments.
It's once a month.
All it does is meet with a commissioner and usually the mayor and someone from the city council.
Also, and it's kind of years ago, the city started it as like an olive branch, that's where I put it, to kind of
some good things come out of it.
During this year, we used to meet at 7 and it got changed to 8. So if that helps, it's 8 now.
Yeah.
It didn't help me.
I guess I could, but since I have required to do it.
I can go ahead and take it if so inclined by the board.
I'd like to nominate Donna, also the Jim Ashley, to serve on the committee of the council.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to put Madonna Alderson and Jim Ashley on the Goodwill Committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Liaison between the mayor and council. Corporal
I make a motion to have Suzanne Alexander take that position.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to have Suzanne take that position. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Extension Education Center Board. Last year was Madonna.
This is one Jennifer wanted to serve on. Would you have a problem?
No.
Okay, sure.
I'm sure.
I would nominate Jennifer Ritchie.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to nominate Jennifer Ritchie for this Extension Education Center Board. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Down to redevelopment commission. Last year, our council appointments were Bob Edinger, Dennis Henderson, and Beth Roach.
If the council chooses, I'd like to serve on that. Please serve.
I would nominate Jim Ashley to take one of those spots. Do you want the other one or?
Unless someone just wants it. Yeah, I'm glad to serve.
Okay.
So do we have that on one motion?
I would make a motion that Dennis Henderson, Jim Ashley, and Beth Roach serve on the redevelopment commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that Dennis Henderson, Beth Roach, and Jim Ashley serve on the redevelopment commission. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Governmental Economic Development Alliance.
I think currently what we have shows us for term, and I was pointing to that last year. I would like to request that we change our term to 1 year to allow different council members to serve on that committee to learn more about the economic development. And I have served on that up to this point, and I'd like to see someone else serve.
Make a motion to appoint Jim Powell.
I would like those in yearly appointments.
Okay.
Should we have two motions? I make a motion that this be an annual appointment for the council.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the council representing on the Tipton Governmental Economic Development Alliance be a yearly appointment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And motion for,
Make a motion to appoint Jim Powell to the position.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to appoint Jim Powell to that position. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Can hardly write as fast as
They was getting right through this.
Okay, Ambulance Oversight Board.
I would make a motion that we continue could have Brad serve on that for us.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to continue with Brad Nichols as our representative. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried. That's it, isn't it? Another time. John here for jail.
Okay, so
That leads back to the corner. Thank you.
I think in everybody's packet that we have a additional appropriation for contractual services. Explain that. What that is about 4 years ago, we brought the domestic violence group and the advocates to Tipton. And last year, when we started out, it was like $3,000 a year from the county, $3,000 from the city. Last year, it actually dropped to $2,000, so we had $1,000 left. And during the hearings, we thought it was going to stay at $2,000. Well, the bill went back up, and the copy of the bill is behind the second page. I think it went back up to $3,000 this year. I think it's $6,000 a year now, city and the county to have that advocate. And I think it's very, very important that we have that.
When is that bill due?
To what?
When do you pay that bill?
I don't know if they paid, well, the auditor pays it, to be honest. And I'm not sure when she sends it in, but we did receive the bill this year, so. It's just one thing that we didn't ask for in our budget hearings, because we thought it dropped, so we reduced it to $1,000.
I make a motion to advertise for additional appropriation for the contractual services for the sheriff's department to the city of Elwood, or is it to the
No.
So you-
Domestic violence.
domestic violence advocacy program?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to advertise for an additional appropriation of $1,000 to contractual services for the domestic violence advocacy program. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
We'll give you a little update on what we're doing while I'm here. And I'm inviting any of you that have never been through the jail, please come. I think Joe came over. I think got a pretty good education on what it consists of and stuff. Last year I contacted you about maybe not hiring a full-time cook and getting a full-time secretary. It's still there. I'm still going to pursue that, but I think I've got to hire a full-time cook. Okay, from what I've got. So I'm going to go ahead and probably end up doing that. I think you guys put the salary in for the full-time.
It's been reduced.
Yes.
The new hire.
Okay. I don't know what it was. I don't remember what you guys put in there, but I know you did put in money for the full-time cook. It's not working bad, but I think I need somebody there that'll take charge of the kitchen and stuff. Still will pursue the secretary later on throughout the year as we.
Keep on.
I know. We're getting ready to paint the hallways in the jail, get things cleaned up, because if they ever do build a jail, I don't know what you're going to do with the building, but it might as well be looking good when whatever you do with it, if they ever do it. So we're going to start doing some maintenance. I had some sump pumps go out over the last flood, and purchase them. I've got some serious leaks in the roof. The ceiling in the house is starting to fall down.
House.
In the house, but I don't have the money to spend to keep the house.
What does the historical side, since it's from the historical register, what are we required to do?
I think it's the county's house and they're responsible for it, but I don't have the money to actually go up. Since there's a place up in the top of the roof, slate roof, where there's wood showing, and you can't get up there and walk it because you'll crack the slate. So you have to have like a crane come in to work on the thing, and I can't do that.
Has that been presented to the commissioner?
No, I just looked, I just saw it the other day after the commission meeting, I was looking, because I was gonna have some repairs done on the,
That's heading your way?
yeah, it's coming that way, but I was looking for to have some repairs done on the garage, because we had a leak in the garage, so, and I just had to look up, and the roofer and I were gonna go meet this, I can't do that. So there's no way anybody local can do it, so. Just kind of give you an update on what's going on, so. Anybody have any questions on? Here from them.
It's a less.
Council, whatever one goes. I was a little when I was a commissioner. It is, it's interesting.
Yeah, I would like to take.
June, I'll call you.
And goes to the dispatch.
Love to have you come in.
Over goes to the
What's that?
dispatch.
What's that, the phone?
It is interesting to see some of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Transfers and issues appropriation. Is that all that's blue? First, the health department.
That is just to appropriate the funds that are already, with grants that are already in place. Since it's a new year, we need to appropriate those funds, and so that it can be, the rest of the grant can be used.
Is that money in those funds?
Yes. It either is there or will be, because they receive grant money periodically. This is the, this is the listing of how each of those grant funds are budgeted. That she receives on a yearly basis.
The only thing I caution is by appropriating these amounts, the department head has to be careful not to overspend. The money's got to be there to spend it.
Yeah, I'm confused. I'll get a lot of that in a while, okay?
Okay.
This is additional appropriations, it's time to transfer.
It's just
The authority just to
appropriation,
spend.
so she can spend what she has from the grants.
Okay. Okay.
And these are funds that don't hold tax dollars, they're grant money funds only. So the process is just slightly different to where there has to be an advertisement for the public hearing, public hearing has to be held. But the state will not do it.
But the money's there.
Or it's coming.
Or it's coming, so all we're doing is appropriating the accounts that go to be spent.
Why wouldn't she ask for the appropriation after she's received the grant and has the funds in hand?
Because it's a long process that would, her bills would pile up before she can spend, before she can pay. She has a specified amount that is already granted to her. So the appropriations then allow her, as the bills come in, to go ahead and pay them. If we go through the process, as the bills come in, or as the money comes in, we would be doing additional appropriations several times through the year. These are monies that are already specific in their dollar amount.
She knows what.
She knows exactly
When
what's
she
coming
comes for
from the
grant
state.
applications, then she has to apply, X amount of dollars for certain services.
And these are exact dollars that she, and the way in which the state's approved for the spend those dollars, those grant dollars.
I make a motion that we advertise.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to advertise for, to appropriate these funds All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, next one is the highway department. Need appropriation amount of $100,000 to line item lease purchase. Replacing the
Yes, and for those of you that don't know me, I'm Brett Lewis. Probably everybody knows me. Small, short. We had originally asked for 100,000. Realistically, we should probably ask for 200,000. For the simple fact that if we just do 100,000, that's going to run us in trouble next year. So, going off the papers I just gave you, we already have 2 tracks of trucks that are ordered and will be coming in sometime around April. Now, the cost of those 2 trucks combined is $287,990. Less the trade-in amount of 2 tandem trucks that we're trading in, leaving a balance of $272,990. So with that, we also had a unexpected equipment replacement cost come up. All of you know we had a truck to get wrecked and totaled, along with a brush chipper. The cost to replace the tandem truck that got totaled is $126,259. And to replace the brush chipper, we're talking roughly $20,000. I got to get, that's a close estimate. I still need to get firm quotes on that yet. So the total cost of the dump truck and the chipper is $146,259. So if you take the total of the 2 triaxles after trade-in, the total of the tandem truck, and the total of the replacement for the brush chipper, you have a subtotal of $419,249. Now, the insurance is allowing us $48,000 for the total truck, $3,000 for the total brush chipper. With that, we have $100,000 budgeted for this year for new equipment. So therefore, a total of $151,000 we have to spend. We need $268,249 to cover the cost. Replacing the truck that got wrecked is very important to us because we use that truck on a daily basis. It's a truck that's in the first round of everything we do, all the way from obviously plowing snow. It's the one that generally pulled the brush chipper, stockpiling stone. You know, it's almost an everyday occurrence that we use it. So it is very important to us to get us back up and running in our everyday use and our normal equipment use at the highway. So I'm asking for the $200,000. We have a very, very healthy highway fund. So it can be taken from there and put over into the equipment so we can purchase our new equipment. And that'll still leave us at about $300,000, actually about $304,000 as an operating fund, which is about where we'd like to be. I mean, that's a good cushion for us, so.
I had something. When we ended the year last year and carried over our balance, we had ended with $504,000. When we budgeted for 2013, we only used estimated tax revenue for 2013 for our budget. So that $504,000 that we had left at the end of the year last year is essentially not budgeted for anything yet. So that's the reason why we felt comfortable coming to you and asking you for $200,000 extra this year. Because that still leaves us with that $300,000 cushion that we like to keep in that fund. That's not, in case the state comes back and wants to reduce their budget or whatever, it's happened before. And I just want to clarify that.
Questions?
I have a lot of, I do, I would much like to be able to look over what was presented at budget time for expected revenues and cash balance at that time. I know there was some concern
There
about the
was.
EFTs that were,
Right,
you
and
didn't
that
have a
was-
real
that
tax
was resolved.
distribution,
That was
which I think
resolved.
the real tax has been distributed to these two. I think we need to, myself, look that over and work closer. The $100,000 that we have in the budget was for lease, which is for the two that you've already ordered, correct?
We have, yes, it's for lease,
We
actually.
did budget that
Because
$100,000.
we got it leased on a 3-year lease to pay them off.
And then is this additional for to buy out or to lease? Did you get a lease?
It'll probably end up being a 3-year lease on
Okay.
the new truck.
But it's to purchase.
It's to purchase, and
Lease
I
to
really,
purchase.
I mean, I would much rather see, and this is my own thoughts, is that we look at a lease on those also. I hate that we would go in and reduce our cash at this point that much. That's a lot.
We're talking a straight out lease instead of a lease purchase.
Either one, whichever way you're doing the others. I think at the end, you got your buyout for $1.
Right, yeah, lease
So
purchase.
that's also a difference. Usually in those, your rate
This
might
is
be a little
the same.
higher, but at the end, you can buy them out for $1.
Right,
I mean, that's, at least that's how I've always seen that difference, so, you know.
and this would be set up the same way as the other two trucks.
I think our concern though was with the 2 triaxles that we had obligated earlier this year, that was putting us out, because we appropriate, or we budget $100,000 every year for equipment. And that would put us out for 2 more years before we could update any more equipment. Well, with the loss of the truck,
Right,
that
and-
puts us out even further. So I think our concern was that we were.
Right, I'm not against additional appropriating if we find that the balances are there. I feel like you've got a substance of cash to sit there in case things change. I know that your funds weren't in sync, and not your fault, but there were still a lot of ifs that needed to come in at budget time. I just want to make sure that all those things, myself, and make sure all those things were there before I could feel like I could vote on purchasing. And I'd like to see, you know, something like a lease. That way we can budget it in and make sure it's there.
Budget time, field tax wasn't there.
We didn't have the wheel tax money, we had EFTs that weren't, I mean, she, bless her heart, Sherry tried her hardest to get us numbers that we could work with, but there was still a lot of things missing.
So is that the reason then, and again, excuse me, but it seems like you came in January and asked for additional appropriations and went through the budgeting process. The reason we're doing that is because we didn't know the total income that you were going to have that point, or that was a question, that kind of?
Kind of more, but more so that we didn't expect the loss in November.
I understand that, I don't have
You
a
know,
problem
so-
with that part of it, it's an
Right.
additional $100,000 that you're saying you're gonna be over and above that.
Well, it was just an opportunity. I felt that we could, because of the aging equipment that we have on top of what we're trying to replace. I think we have,
We have a 96 Chevy Tandem that's, it should have been one to get replaced. Obviously, things out of our control with the wreck truck, that's took first place, so.
So you feel comfortable by doing what you're requesting, when you would agree to do that somewhere along the line, that gets you down to that cash balance that you normally keep around $300,000?
well, I'm comfortable with knowing that I have a
Are you
cushion.
comfortable, or are you fairly certain that it's going to be at that point?
I'm fairly certain, but however, I want you guys to be comfortable as well.
And I think as we should, as better. Brett, when would that truck have been replaced?
The truck that got wrecked,
Got wrecked?
it would have probably went, it would have eventually ended up as a backup truck. That allows us to keep the trucks a little bit longer, use them, but it probably wouldn't have been up for another, I would say, probably 3 years.
By doing this, and I think this question was asked of Commissioners Monday, by doing this now, that would eliminate that purchase 2 or 3 years from now. That's,
Yeah.
You do have a lot of miles on your fleet, right?
Yeah.
So we
And,
haven't
you know,
bought any trucks for a while.
realistically, having semis, that's a lot different miles on a truck than what a semi-tractor running down the road is. You know, it ain't nothing for a semi-tractor to run 1.5 million miles, maybe 2 million miles. Our trucks are a little bit different. You can probably multiply the odometer by about 3 or 4, And nothing against any of the guys working for me. It's just harder wear and tear than road miles are. Plowing snow is extremely hard on trucks.
Takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it does. It's really hard on them.
So Brett, is your fleet, is it in a rotation? Do you always have it like in a 5-year rotation, 3-year rotation?
It's sort of
everything?
slipped out of rotation.
That's what, so
It
can we
needs
get
to
it
be
back
got
in
back
rotation?
into whack
Okay.
again. That's my
Okay.
goal. to
I mean,
get-
that's what we do with the police cars.
Right,
and,
yes.
the
That's what we
sheriff's
need to get
department.
back into.
Okay, that's kind of what I was taking away from
Yes.
this, that we're not doing a
Yeah,
rotation.
things got out of,
Okay,
So
okay.
how many years has it been since we got some trucks?
Well, we always put the 100.
the last truck we got was in '06. Yeah,
Is it
it's a
fire?
Trax, it's in 06 International Trax. The ones prior to that was one of the 3 trucks that got wrecked, they were 03 Internationals. And then when you go prior to that, it was 99.
I knew we were out of rotation.
Yeah, they are.
So I just wanted to be sure everyone understood, I wasn't sure.
Yes.
so how quickly do you need this? I guess if you've got the 2 trucks ordered, when will they be in?
Probably in the month of April sometime. The sooner we can get this ordered, the better. I need it before chip seal season. The other 2 trucks have already been ordered. I need to be able to order this relatively quick so that we can get it before chip seal season. Because without it, it's going to put me in a pretty good bind.
What if we would advertise for this, and we make that advertisement, and then have Brett bring the information to us, and then we'll decide next meeting whether we want to fund it or not. At least that speeds the process up 30 days. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I really need to see what the state does with the budget. Historically, they've had the state is ordering them to budget several years in a row.
Yeah. So would you have a problem going ahead and
I
advertise
don't
for
have a
it?
problem with advertising.
And then if you would get the lease.
Sure. Information to us, so we I would make that motion that we advertise for the additional appropriation for the county highway department.
Actually, you're needing 268, 249. What you're actually needing.
260.
268, but I think we can take care of that 68,000. Next year, budget.
So you just want the 200,000?
I'm gonna say we go ahead and advertise the whole, and we can always review that.
If you want to do that, that's fine.
I mean, that just, we can
I mean,
always
it
review.
actually makes more sense to do it that way, actually. All the hours.
Question. Since you're in such a bind, have you considered, instead of, I know that every year you pay the toll for your equipment,
Right.
have you considered a 2 or 3 year lease on any of this equipment to get more?
I'm going to check into that a little further to see what's available, find out what makes the most sense, money-wise.
You definitely spread out your cost.
Yes. Right.
Leasing would increase the cost of the product, though. Yeah, there's a fee to do that, obviously.
Right.
I think you have to weigh that, but that's something to look at.
And partially what's gotten us into a little bit of trouble, equipment has gone up and up each year, as pretty much everybody knows. And our budget stayed the same, we haven't raised our budget in any state. It's probably been the same ever since I've been there, it's close to 11 years. My motion would make a total of $268,249.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to advertise for additional appropriation for the highway of $268,049. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. Brett, you'll get that information to us.
Communications Center. Money from the Jake Blair Memorial Fund, now $1,500 appropriated from the garage fund for emergency
I can answer any question.
That,
The $1,500 there is actually for him, and I may put it on the wrong side of my head. What that $1,500 is from is Jake Blair Memorial Fund. It was an officer in Indianapolis that was killed by duty several years ago. His father set up a grant foundation to help other emergency services around the state. And I applied for $1,500 because the surveyor donated a truck to EMA that I'm going to use to pull our whole command trailer with it, also a health department trailer, communications trailer. But I have to do a lot of upgrades to that truck, like I found out brakes today and hitches and things of that nature. So that's why I applied for that grant, to get that in the garage and motor so I could get that truck capable to do that duty. So that's where that one came from. And it's here, the check's here, but it hasn't been put into a fund or anything like that yet.
Does it have stipulations, does it have to be set outside of the general fund, or it goes straight to EMA?
It goes straight to the,
Because you're umbrella under the general.
right, it's just, it's to be used, there's no stipulations on how I use it, but when I applied for it, I gave him a list of what I was going to use it for, and it really was updating that truck and things of that nature.
I'll make a motion to advertise for the appropriation of grant monies in the amount of $1,500 received in the emergency management budgets and the appropriated.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to advertise for the appropriation of $1,500 for the Jake Blair Memorial Fund. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now we're down to replacements. Is Bill here?
I have a couple questions, I looked at this earlier, maybe, trying to go through, I talked to Bill by phone, the other part of it. Basically, what he's requesting is the total of the 690308, which would be the firewall. That firewall, 2217 is included in computer hardware total of 490338. And the battery backup is also included in that 420338. Those totals should equal 290338. He's also requesting then $2,000 for software and then $55 for the dues request, to pay the dues. The amount, 420338, would then leave him $2,000 available for spending of minor things that come in that he needs, and also around hardware and also on software. He has a $2,000 operating budget to buy things that he needs. So, that's his request.
And what's the detail on the hardware?
I beg your pardon.
Is there detail on the hardware?
You got me there. It's the firewall. I think there is some detail on there someplace.
Yeah, the firewall, the
Yeah.
battery.
That's the only things that he is purchasing at this point in time. The other, there would be $2,000 left in that 4903 again for an operating budget for hardware, and then $2,000 available for an operating for software. He uses his discretion.
That's currently in his budget?
No, that's what he's requesting additional appropriation of 69 for 338 plus $55. They're not in his budget. Don't think you'll get conferences. Yeah, you did this in conferences, I think, and some things. Yes, yeah, that's not. I was kind of confused too, and that's the reason I called them and talked to them to see a little more. Explain it to them.
Do you offer any understanding why that wasn't in the budget?
No, we did not. He talked to me about the firewall a couple weeks ago, and we're using I think a freebie now that he's downloaded off the internet somewhere, and he doesn't think that provides us the protection that we need, and this one will. And that's really basically all I know.
I think the firewall we use now is there.
It's very good.
Yeah, because I've seen it come up
Okay.
in different searches, it'll come up and it will block. It'll block searches that are not allowed. I think it was a couple months ago, Commissioners, didn't he ask or present the director's software to you?
I don't believe so.
Because I thought it was something relatively new.
No, I don't remember that. Do you, Phil? What'd you say?
Barracuda software, isn't that, because that's currently on our computer.
For which?
The firewall, Barracuda,
Yes.
that's on our computers. And I thought that was placed on there within the last few months.
I don't know what, yeah, I don't remember it being discussed discussion about that.
Well, I'm just curious why, why he's coming so early in the year for additional appropriation. We're just coming out of the budget cycle, why isn't some of this in his budget? He's got money in his budget, why isn't it being used?
I'll let Bill answer that. Yeah, I really don't know. I have an idea, but I don't know.
I don't see where it is. I don't see where it's budgeted.
Or, I don't think.
I didn't see anything in there that was budgeted. Looking at there, his budget's broken down pretty much line to line in the 300 series. But not even in the 400, so.
I don't have a problem advertising for the firewall, battery, and the dues, because we have information on those. But I would like to have more information on the other ones.
Would you mind if we advertise for a full amount and then have it come in and explain to us and make a decision next month on what we feel like we want to approve? Or do you just want to do the firewall and the battery?
I just as well do the items that we have to talk about.
I'm sorry?
I just as well do the items that we have to talk about. Because it's so early in the year, and I'm actually really surprised at all the additional appropriation requests the very first. It's really shocking. And the department heads need to be resourceful too. I mean, did they not plan their budgets? What happened with the budgeting process that so much fell through the cracks? I know there are some things we can't control, but I mean, this is just a little bit overwhelming to have this amount of requests the first meeting. The state has not even approved the budget yet. We don't know what's happening there. And they will not look at an additional appropriation for our county until there's approval of our budget.
So he definitely needs the 2,000 is just
No, actually, all he needs is the firewall of 27, 17, the battery of 181, 21, and the $55 for dues. Which would be, I'm not sure what the total is. The rest is for just an operating fund for bills, what he's requesting. I guess there's a couple things that I would like Bill to provide us some along the line. We need to talk to Bill about that.
The total is $2,958.38.
$950.
I make a motion that we advertise for additional appropriation in the amount of $29,58.38 for the firewall, the battery, and the dues, IT budget.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to advertise for an initial appropriation for IT of $2,958.38, which includes firewall, battery, and dues. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
crew travel diversion. During the budgeting process, this particular budget was not input into Gateway, so it did not end up in the advertisement to the public. And because it was not advertised to the public, it could not be acted upon by the council. So this budget item needs to be appropriated so that we can add that to this year. That's the bottom line.
I make a motion that we advertise $22,330 to fund the 2013 budget as it was presented.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appropriate the $22,000 or to advertise. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All the transfers and additional appropriations. Okay, we're down to the encumbrances.
I think you'll notice on the schedule for our meetings for this year that the conferences will be at our last meeting every year.
That's that.
And if we determine that it's a little too early, Craig determines it's a little too early, then maybe we can have a short session after that meeting, especially just kind of tie up loose ends at the end of the year. And I don't know if there's a, Greg, do you have a total of the encumbrances broke down into what funds and where? You know, there was one year, because when you encumber, you know, you're pulling away from the cash side of your fund. And granted that not, I mean, I know a lot of these are important, but sometimes people will go out and spend at the end of the year things that they may not have normally bought because there's money left in their appropriation. Well, that money left in the appropriation is what builds our cash side that helps float you through the next 6 months. And then when we do budget, it's kind of filters back into the formula. So it's not extra money, it gets filtered back in with your 30th balance, and then helps when you do your next year's budget. So you really want to move on additional encumbrances very cautiously. One year we set a limit, one year we didn't allow them unless they were just a specific contract that had to be done, something specific, and if it was something outside of that, then they had to come and ask that we encumber.
Because if you didn't encumber that money in this calendar year,
They would have to pay for it out of their budget of 2013.
okay, it would be eaten up basically in the next year's budget.
Yeah, yeah.
But if we didn't allow encumbrance, then it entice people to go ahead and spend the money anyway. If they knew that we were going to be able to encumber monies for them, would that?
It did, but we also had to go in that year and ask that they be more cautious because our budget, there was a lot of budget restraints that year.
So these
When you
encumbrances
get to
aren't,
budget time, you'll be able to kind of see where you're at.
so these aren't actually for obligations. But they're-
Obligations out of 2012.
Contractual
They have to be a contract that's pending, that they have entered into in 2012, that, not one that they've entered into now, but one that they've entered into 2012 and have an
Right.
obligation to,
Right.
or a service. So if they had some, work done, or if they bought a piece of equipment, or if, even if they went out and bought supplies, if those papers in, and the invoice wasn't coming through until January. That's what we did. Greg, there's not any of these, and getting these to look at, none of these tell any utility bills, do they? Telephone or utility bills, because they're
No,
not.
utility bills are paid on a time basis.
Okay, good.
And we have the authority under 2010 ordinance
for attaching all the paperwork and that stuff. Maybe you won't have to do all the contracts next time, but the first time. I know it's a lot of work.
Progress through these.
Well, the statute says that they're submitted to the council and it becomes part of the minutes. Then actually specifically say we have to agree to them. It's going to be part of Greg's report, you know, and accept his report. He's the one that's actually, just got to verify to make sure that the appropriations were still there in order to encumber these monies. Since none of us can, look at the funds to determine that, I think that should be great to report to us, and his findings are true to that. It would, and then we can accept your report, and then it'll become part of the minutes, unless you all want to go through each one. I think we'll have time next year to do this. I was looking to see if IT had one. Can't seem to think they did, but I didn't find it.
There is one for IT.
Someplace.
There's one.
For loud.
For Loud.
Oh, it's for loud, okay, okay.
That's one we've already approved.
That's fine, that's fine.
So Craig is going to make a report to us verbally and
Are on back. I feel confident these are appropriate.
I make a motion, we accept the auditor's report on encumbrances and accept that as part of our minutes. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the auditor's report on encumbrances and part of our minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Hi. I have two concerns from last year that I hope will not carry over till this year. The first thing that I find it is very distracting for council members to be texting while meetings are being conducted. It shows a lack of respect for the business at hand and a disrespect to the citizens of Tipton County. I urge you to be considerate of your position and duties and do not text while meetings are being conducted. My second one is a violation of the open door law. I was very disappointed in some of last year's council members who felt for some reason they were not accountable to the people of Tipton County and to the laws of the state of Indiana. I am speaking of the unadvertised meeting that occurred on Monday, December 3rd of 2012. This meeting prompted me to file a formal complaint with the Indiana Public Access Counselor with specific regard to the Indiana open door law. I recently received the advisory opinion from Mr. Joseph Hogue, the Public Access Counselor, in which he states that the Tipton County Council violated the open door law by failing to provide proper notice for the meeting held on December 3rd of 2012. Here's a letter, you can take one and pass it on. The Indiana Code allows for a filing in court to apply a fine to the person who called the meeting. I have sought legal advice and have decided not to pursue the act of the fine at this time. I feel that this council will be more open, respecting the government works for the citizens, not the other way around, without hidden agendas and without ever hearing the statement that I heard from an elected official last year, if we can't do it legally, then we'll have to do it illegally. The information that I handed to you tonight, it is posted on the Public Access Council's website. It'll be posted on my website, and it'll be given to the newspaper. I will continue to attend meetings, record them, and insist that the law be followed. Thank you.
I would like to address the texting. Not everyone is texting during the meetings. I use my phone as a calculator and a calendar. And I will text my children if they need me. But I do turn my cell phone off. It is strictly on vibrate. And it's a rare thing to have my children text.
I have a question about this. This is the first time I've seen this. I have a question about this on the meeting of December 3rd. When you filed this, did we get any kind of a notice or anything that came to the council as a general through your office, Dre? Because I know this is the first that I've seen the notification of it.
The response was to bring this in.
Okay, how about, but from the Access Council, when this was filed, did that, I don't know how that process was.
The initial report was filed to Mr. Pogue. He then turned around and sent a letter to your president, Scott Friend, and said he had 2 weeks to reply to my complaint.
Okay. So
Jane
there
sent him a
was
letter.
There was a.
Nothing was sent in on your part, so then he made the decision.
And do you have a copy of that letter that was sent to Scott at that time? Was it sent to him in his residence, or was it sent to him through the commission? It was sent through here.
It was sent to, was it Marla's office?
Marla's office,
Marla's
actually.
office. It was faxed to Marla's office.
Okay,
And
and so
then
I
it
wonder
was-
why that would be faxed to the recorder's office.
That was the fax number that she had, and evidently Jane or somebody had put it in an envelope, called Scott, and told him he had something here for him.
Okay, and was that picked up? Do we know that that was picked up? That was picked up from Scott? Okay, so their response from them to Scott, notifying Scott that they're going to complain was faxed to the recorder's office instead of the auditor, then it went to the auditor.
No.
And then,
No, it was faxed to Marla, and then they
right,
put it in an
Marlon,
envelope.
Marlon, the recorder's office.
Right, and then
Is
they
that not
called
the
Scott.
recorder? You're shaking.
The
your head.
reply was, his reply came into Marla's office that they voted in her favor,
Mhm.
because Marla brought it over to me to
Okay,
give to her.
it was a reply. Okay, but the initial, when
The
it was
initial request was sent into Marla's office.
No.
Attention Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Confused.
it went
I
into
wanna know
the
who got
auditor's
notification
office,
of
that's
this
how.
from the council.
The auditor's office gave it to Scott.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the response. This is the letter that we have right here,
That is the conclusion in the ruling.
and this is what was faxed to Marla's office.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't know then the original, when this was filed, so from the Public Access Council, we don't know then, as far as council, if we were really officially notified?
From what I understood, Scott Friend had called every council, even Mr. Powell was there, the newspaper was there.
No, I'm not talking a meeting, I'm talking once you filed, and it says that we didn't
That's
respond.
that's up to Scott.
Were we notified to respond? I would have thought, I mean,
Scott was
as a
notified.
council, we would have responded.
I think Scott was as president.
As a resident, but did it go to him, or did it come somewhere else?
Went to him.
It went to Scott, it had Scott's name on it. I can give you a copy of that, I just don't
I
have
would
it
like to
with me
see
right now.
that, I'd like to see where it was actually sent to. I really would.
Because I think if you look on the back page, the back page.
This one, but I want to, when they were, but when the Access Council gave the county 2 weeks to respond, where did that go to? Who did that go to?
It was Scott. And Scott should have had, he had until the 27th to respond.
Where? Is it home or?
No, here.
And then
Scott picked it up.
He said he picked it up.
this, he picked this up,
No, he initially picked up the complaints.
the complaint, okay. Okay.
That was
I'm
filed
sorry,
by
I
me.
misunderstood. Your mom
Yeah.
was shaking her head no back there when you were saying that, so,
Okay.
okay. So the actual complaint was picked up by Scott. Okay, that's all I know. Thank you.
I was talking about the reply. We weren't talking about the reply.
Beth, you still want to take a look at that?
No, no, your mom was shaking her head no, and you're
I
saying
thought you, I was
yes.
on one place and you were in another place.
Is there anything else on this?
There's a request.
I don't know if there, do we have to respond? Do we have to respond in any way that we have been given this, or?
To that? No, it's just for me giving it to you for your information.
Okay. So noted then, thank you.
Yeah, there's a request to cancel the EMA telephone line. It's in the building where no one is. Almost all the time.
I will tell you, it is more or less information. Since Bill's the keeper of the phones, he told me to submit a request to him and he would go to the commissioners. But since I have money appropriated in utilities, a few people said it would be beneficial to let the council know because I do have money appropriated in my utilities. But that phone line, there's no one ever there that uses it. And last year there's internet access over there that we do use a lot more often because we're using it more for meetings and training, actually more for the sheriff's department. So we do have to keep the internet over there, but last year the internet was in IT's budget, but somehow it was taken out of my budget and it left me a little short. So this year, now that I have the internet over there, I cancel the phone and everything will work out financially okay. But I just don't see the point in having the phone. But there's more information for you guys that I was, the bill should be, you guys are however that part works, so.
So that gives you a little cushion.
Actually, I'll come there and just eat. Since they're using it more, they eat going up. I'll pay it though.
I'd just like one thing on the agenda from this point forward. I would like an item, the last item of the meeting, public comment. And so that's on there so that the public knows that it's available to them. So if you would do that, Greg, from this point on. On the last item on the agenda each meeting, public comment or comments from the public or something like that, I'd just like that to be part of the agenda.
A couple things I'd like to be a little more clear on. First of all, I've had a thought for a long time in regards to the monthly minutes. And the burden is placed on the auditor's office to try to maintain these minutes in the manner that they have in the past, which is basically a verbatim repetition of the minutes. It's the same issue we run into in the planning commission. We haven't resolved it there. But I know that there's a lot of time that goes into putting these minutes together and trying to cipher words and understand the conversation. I think we need to advise Greg to take the minutes that are required, which is the motions, the actions that were taken, who made the motions, who seconded the motions, brief discussion of the motion, and forget about all this, this guy said that, this guy said this, and this one was here. We do have a digital copy of these, and all that's available if someone wants to go through that process. But we all know what a problem it's been for the past year and a half to try to get these minutes approved timely and prepared timely, and with all the other problems that we've got in the, meeting the requirements, I'd suggest that we advise Greg to reconsider how his minutes are prepared, meet the requirements. We can make a digital copy of a part of the record, and it's all there. We're not hiding anything from anybody. We're taking a lot of burden off the auditor's office in preparing these minutes, then, well, I think I do. Probably not. I know how hard it is in the planning commission office. We've got an office secretary that's taking minutes. Planning commission, city, county, BCA, DCA. You know, is that what we want? When it's really unnecessary as far as I'm concerned.
I think it's an excellent.
I think we need to be spending the time where we need to be spending it, and that's not part of it.
And with the electronic copy, anyone can always find everything, so it's not an issue. But as long as we got our motions and our made up, seconded.
And it can have a brief description of the discussion. You know, large number of attendants from the community, no one from the community. It can have a brief description of the meeting without just rambling.
That would help. Great, great.
I did have another thing regarding access to the council's attorney, only because I don't understand, you know, how that arrangement's being worked, and you existing council members can help me out here.
That's something we've discussed.
We have a small
I don't know.
amount in our budget,
I don't know that we have a specific policy of that.
I know at one time there was discussion, and Phil and Mike can chime in on this, I think Joe's aware of that, but when there's some discussion about how so many people were going to the attorney, and like maybe somebody we need to be more cautious and just not, because we budgeted $15,000 and we ended up paying out what, how much did we pay the attorney last year? 30 something, almost 40,000. So, you know, there's so many other departments that are using it too, so I don't know. I guess,
Best to call them and ask.
I don't know, it's nice to have you know, I mean, we have it budgeted. I don't think it's right if we utilize the attorney that then we expect the commissioners to pay that out of their budget if it's something that we feel like we need some legal counsel on.
You have it, but the council has their own
Yeah,
separate line item for.
Yeah, we have,
fees.
it's not much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be years ago, different names. The actual council had a different attorney than the commissioners, because there are times that you need a different.
Right, yeah, that was one of the concerns.
And I know, my first year on, we talked about that, and we weren't successful in finding anybody that wanted to check it. We do. I mean, honestly, because I think that was one of our issues that we talked about, and at that time, it didn't happen, but.
We do have access to the county attorney now.
Yes, we do.
And
We
I
do.
agree that we shouldn't expect the commissioner's budget to pay
No,
questions that the council asks.
no, and that's why I think they're,
So I don't know whether
you know, they
John can
get,
keep that separate or not.
John does keep it separate, he itemizes his charges when he does citizen.
Brad?
In the past, there've been times where the council kind of filtered situations through the president so that you knew there was one contact. With 7 members, you could get 7 times the same question, potentially, whether you want to do that. But that was just one way to try to control the
because
access.
if he reads an email, you're charged. If he answers a phone, you're charged. If he calls you, you're charged. You have $250.
Probably just take a look at that.
$250 seems
Wow.
a bit very generous to
You
us.
asked for just appropriate.
How much?
Hopefully, we won't need an attorney that often, but the county attorney, I mean, he covers the county. Just the whole county.
Yeah, and that's not the, yeah, that's true.
But-
But I think that the commissioners have been hit financially on their end when they're trying to be cautious in what they budget, and then, you know, if, well, it's great, it's on our end.
Well, like Jim said, might be something to talk about.
You know, I think we've kind of had maybe a problem in recent history of more than one person calling the county attorney. some things like that. I just think it would be prudent if, you know, you would filter that through Dennis. I know personally, I wouldn't even call the county attorney as a commissioner without informing Mike, the president. You know, just as far as picking up the phone, I just wouldn't do that. So I think that's just a cooperative effort. And it, you know, if the bill comes in at an extraordinary amount, we know who to look at.
If it's over 250, just let it know. We don't have any more.
I have one more thing too, if I could, and I think this has been done in the past, but I think it needs to be, the people need to be reminded is that if somebody wants to be on the agenda for the council, that information should be in to Greg, I would assume no later than Thursday night prior to the next meeting. It'd probably be nice to have just maybe a little memo or a note from me as president of the council requesting this, acknowledging that there are times that there are emergencies that come up that, you know, we would accept that. But I think if you start that practice, people will understand that and they'll be a little more diligent to try to get it in, and certainly again help Greg maybe help us get the information out a little earlier too for our review. So I think it's important that we review that information. So evidently, maybe if you as a president, if you could get that note out to everybody, I would appreciate it.
So I know we've talked about it several times.
We have done it in the past, and I told you that was kind of what we have done in the past. Somebody brought that up because I think it's something you could give me.
Is there a policy on when the agenda comes out to the council? I think I've heard that discussion as well.
Yeah, I think they're good. We did one like Friday morning.
That gives you Monday, business day, or something you want to follow up with.
It's helpful.
And if the packets are ready on Fridays, and whoever wanted to pick them up, that would be, Susan is to deliver. She's our deliverer, she delivered them all.
Did you hear those comments? Correct.
But it's hard to deliver. It's hard to deliver in an hour and a half. Yeah. And I don't think, you know, I as a council person didn't really think too much because I, as court treasurer, always delivered. So I never even really thought about the museum delivered it, and that was just part of the job. But when she mentioned one day that she goes from one side of the county clear to the other, I thought, oh my gosh. And plus, we weren't reimbursing her for any gas. So I think that's something that,
That wouldn't be
you know,
necessary.
if you want your packet, pick it up.
I would say that, yeah. we
If
just
you have
can't
a
afford it.
certain time that
Absolutely.
we know every Friday is going to be ready to close the day, or.
One thing that I decided to start doing, because that was a huge burden to so much time, was scanning the entire packet and sending it out to the county. She did, so that the county council.
And that was really nice. And I think we're all now on email.
Is that a time saver? I think that was, and it's a paper saver, but it's a time
It was
saver.
a huge time saver for me.
Okay.
There was still one council member that I needed to deliver, but
I mean,
that person had very close.
Then we would need to print that off.
Couldn't save that computer.
You can print that off, bring that to the meeting then with us. That would be our package provided with the vice one.
Well, I didn't expect anyone to print off this document on their own
Okay.
computer, because there could be many things.
That would just be for.
So I printed, that was just for your preview, and then I printed the documents and had them all in a packet for review.
Okay.
She sent out at the beginning of every year, how you wanted your packet, if you wanted electronic, if you wanted it delivered, if you wanted to pick it up. And that was nice, because she knew exactly what you wanted, and if there was any discussion of, well, I didn't get my packet, well, because you signed up, you wanted to pick it up, and you didn't, you know. So I think that can help too.
There's one more thing before we close, and Greg was going to present.
The salary ordinance has for Roland Pike, the assistant sanitary, two line items, both out of 801, 113, 15, which is the grant line, $10,822. You Walsh made a request in the budget for only a total of $26,721. The grant line only has $10,000 available to it. So we need to do a correction, and with your permission, I would like to alter or present at the next meeting a revised salary ordinance to correct that situation so that we can get that straightened out for everyone. Additionally, the council had only appropriated $17,321. So we need to appropriate the additional money for the second. We passed this budget for the grant money, but we do not need to do an additional appropriation. Is this sufficient?
As long as we're within what we're supposed to pay, if we're two together, there's a million salary, we might be able to just adjust the two. We're at.
Passed an additional appropriation here, which increases the grant money. So is that sufficient for what we need to do to cover this salary?
We approved the health department budget, which had him.
What we approved in the fall does not have $10,000 in it.
That was the grant.
What?
That was the grant.
The grant had 10,000 in it. Yes, we approved 321, but we didn't approve the other. There's another 10,000 that council did not appropriate.
And doesn't need to.
So the goodness here, I think needs to be appropriated. We passed this additional appropriation for this year's budget. And what I'm asking is this is sufficient to cover between the salary ordinance. This is.
But we had something prior to this meeting on the health department.
Yes. I think we tried to fix it, but I'm not sure we got the job actually done. I want to make sure that no one gets trouble.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I want to make sure
the
you
bottom
stay
line. Yes. Assistant sanitary. That's the line. 16,000. 10,000 is the maximum amount that's allowed in the grant. Or yes, the 17,000 needs to be reduced to 10,000, and the zero amount needs to be increased back to 16,721 for the assistant secretary, the relief secretary. At $600 maybe the increase that we gave council gave a raise. So the difference would be 17,321. So we need to increase the assistant sanitary line by $17,321 as an additional appropriation so that we can do it.
discussion was, we were gonna take the assistant sanitarian line and make it zero and move it.
And move it, but I don't.
So I don't remember the number, but,
She's using grant money.
well, no.
It's
the-
two, the
there
two
was
together
two.
total.
Together.
The two together total, but
The grant of 10 was supposed to sit by itself.
Right.
And then we were trying to put another line in and not call it assistant sanitarian and use the money that was advertised there to put into it. So it was, you'd have the same title. One would be some grant dollars, 10,000, and the other one would be whatever, but call in the same thing.
17,320.
Emergency Preparedness Director, grant in general, and have the total be about the 28,000-ish, whatever.
did I put it that way on the salary ordinance?
Yes.
Okay.
You put it in-
I thought I-
yeah,
I
you
thought I
did,
caught it
you
right.
did, but the grant, the account line will
Okay.
not work because that account line is assigned to the grant itself, and so.
So we need to
that
create a
one-
new
that-
line
that
number,
113
just a disbursement
Yeah.
number.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
11315 is for
Okay,
grant
that's-
specifically.
That's easy.
But the money is in the budget for his salary.
It should be used.
It's in the salary ordinance, it was not in the budget, because we didn't give the money into a separate line in the budget itself.
The advertising was short,
The advertising was short, yes.
so there's
So
going
we
to have
need
to be additional.
appropriate to get, we have to do an additional appropriation of $17,321.
But the salary ordinance is correct.
Salary ordinance is correct, except that it's a little high. We had 20,822, we only had 17,321.
Out of that line.
So it's a little high for that line, so that needs to be reduced down to correct it to the 17,329.
I thought the total was like 28, low 28s, but I don't.
I think the 17,321 includes a $600, I believe, it's a $600 raise. The other employees.
So that's the difference. It's 600 from the 16 to the 17 is $600. So the 17 is correct.
Like the 17,321 plus the 10,000 would make his proper salary.
So what do we need to do to correct this?
An additional appropriation for
Advertise
17,321.
correctly.
So we need a motion.
Well, we have, there's 17,321 already there in the budget.
Is that where it was supposed to be moved out?
But it just needs to be moved into a different
Well,
line.
then we don't have to additional
transfer.
appropriate it, we just need to create that line.
Would use the additional 10,000
Appropriate.
into the grant line. Or would have to move the 7.
Well, are you 801?
Well, it's.
Well,
it's
it's a
not
different
50,
fund
It's
number.
1159 now.
Yes,
It's-
okay, 1159, I thought it was 801.
But
It used to be 801,
Because
yes.
$10,000, I bet, was already.
When we did the salary ordinance, we knew we had to do an additional appropriation, because we didn't advertise it. There was an advertising thing, and so it,
So we still need to do an additional appropriation.
I think so.
So I would do a motion to advertise for additional appropriation in the amount of $10,000, which would go into a line item called Emergency Preparedness Director Grant Revenue, and authorize Greg to move the $17,321 by transfer out of the Emergency Preparedness Director fund or account. To appropriately move the $17,321 into the proper personal services line for Nolan to be able to get paid.
Okay, the $10,000 is, we haven't already accounted for that in the grant, in her appropriation anywhere. We did an additional appropriation for her toward the end of the year, somewhere in there. Like November, somewhere.
We'll have to get advertised for the 17,000 and then let Greg determine how much that needs to be for
The
next year.
17,000 is already there.
And the break is one of the general fund and one of this
there's zero in assistant sanitarian right now, so that it's under the appropriate place, is that where you're 17 through 21?
The reference to the word, you had requested it, the discussion that Brad was talking about was relabeling this to make both funds
You remember
emergency
during that time
preparedness.
that you came in, we had the long discussion again about these assistants for sanitation, and how we ended up with two, we really didn't plan on two. Remember that whole big long discussion, and then, the idea was to change the title since he is basically doing preparedness. He's not doing a lot of assistant sanitary stuff. So, you know, then it's down to the county funding some for, for the emergency preparedness, in which the grant's there. And the idea was that it be separated because if for some reason that grant goes away, then the county's not obligated to pay that extra $10,000. Do you remember that discussion? And that's why it was put on their salary when it's like that, no, as to where, you know, with the budget, once we moved everything, I don't know, but that was behind the reason for separating that and giving him a new title number name, instead of just assistant sanitarian, because
We have to establish it.
we had to establish something, yeah.
So that it separates it from the grant, so you're not coming
Right.
the grant and with.
Well, and a liability to the county down the road if that grant money goes away.
So as the current salary ordinance that we approved reads, we have emergency preparedness director grant revenue and emergency preparedness director health fund. Those labels are very similar, one is identified as grant. The one with the grant label should have 10,000, and the other one should have 17,000.
Which would be out of the 801 fund, which is a tax rated fund, right? So, like I said, general, so it should be all fund, which is tax rated.
We need to create a new account.
Okay, how about if we go ahead and, so we can move on at this, make the motion. I make a motion that we apply for additional appropriation amount of 17,000. 10,000, you sure that's all we're gonna need?
10,000.
Okay, $10,000.
We approved, so, well,
We've got 17 through 21 in the budget, we need 10,000 more, which is the grant monies. It's all personnel services, so we can advertise in the personnel services account under the health fund, and we don't have to identify the account number, because
Right,
it's just
yeah.
personnel services, so we could go ahead and do the advertising with public hearing on 10,000.
As grant money. The grant money coming back, that's fine, as long as it doesn't get, you know, somewhere blocking where it's the 801 fund, which is the tax rate side.
I should
Yeah, she has
rescind
it.
my motion and redo the motion. I'll make a motion to advertise in the health fund, personal services, $10,000 for public hearing at the next meeting.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to advertise at our next meeting at $10,000 for the health fund. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
You have to, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I thought you were done.
Opposed? Motion carried.
You have to transfer the 17,000, it's all no wrong line item at this point.
Greg could present us with a resolution for that transfer at the next meeting, and we can approve it then. It's personnel services, so we do need to approve that resolution without an amendment. And then,
We did, I mean, we got ahead and authorized them to go ahead and make that transfer. And then, with the resolution followed our next meeting, I make that motion. Second.
Motion to
Allow me to transfer that 17,000, whatever it is, to the personnel services fund, with the resolution to follow next meeting.
Okay, second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Well, wrong, salaries. There's one thing that bothered me from, I think is, he mentioned everyone got a $600 raise, but we didn't give Bill a $600 raise. I think that's bothered me. The whole
There wasn't
process.
a reduction, I mean, we just made everyone the same, the directors.
Yeah, but everyone else got 600, but he didn't. So it did make an exclusion for Bill.
Well, I don't think it was a purpose.
I just think if we, every full-time employee gets $600, it should be across the board. It should exclude one. I just don't think that's right. A few years ago, it was legal for a raise. And that was just before I came to council. I don't like doing that to someone. It's right.
I think if you go back and look at the budgets and the raises that were given, there are variations. There were some full-time staff that got a lot more than $600. There are variations, and if you want, you should sit down and today, take a look at some of those.
But
And
we
you
did
could
this-
actually see them, if you just take some time and look through the budget book, and look at the difference column, there's what you call.
But we gave all full-time employees 600.
We got a couple of them,
Oh, that's right.
and all the fire, or not fire, but all sheriff's department, sheriff's department got 1,000, jailers got 1,000, and then there was a couple few of the officers to give them enough, where they need to be actually. And we also gave people, some raise that they would ask for. So, there's a lot of variation in the budget. When you just look through and then.
The bill was purposely singled out for $500 in our budget. And I don't think that's right. If we get the other $600 at our budget meetings this year.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I can very clearly. Because they didn't want to get above the elected office, the elected officials.
I just remember sort of breezing past that salary.
I just think that's wrong.
I mean, are you sure that that's not what we wanted, was to be in line with everyone else? Because that seems to I just don't, I don't think there's anything like that. I just think that the council should be on what we wanted. I'll be back.
Restroom's closed.
Is there anything else for the
I don't know who we need to thank, but I like the arrangement a lot better.
Yeah, he's nice. Very nice. And whoever gave us the other paper, who gave us the paper?
Assessor, Ron, I'll ask a
Assessor.
question.
Yeah, if I may, I know the council doesn't intend this, but this is a public meeting, and I've been sitting here for 2 hours. I maybe have picked up 10 minutes of the whole meeting. And I just appreciate it if y'all could try to project to the back corner of the room and talk. And I don't think this is just a problem with the sound system. I think it's, y'all get to talking to each other, and you're all sitting here closely, and we're totally omitted from the meeting. So just appreciate it if you could project a little bit.
I know mine was doesn't carry that, so.
We need a better,
No, you just need to speak out.
instead of talking across this,
Right.
right, that way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I think that is important, I appreciate it, Ron. I know that's been a problem in the past, I thought it was being resolved with these, microphones.
Where was Helmut?
And I know.
Well, they should get you a microphone right there.
Get up here and present that.
I know you talked about several additional appropriations. Did you do any transfers tonight?
We did.
Which, I couldn't hear them either.
Basically, it was the Bonita's.
Okay. Well, at the first commissioners meeting, there was a transfer that they approved in the 1000 series of unemployment to HSA. I assumed that you would have seen that tonight.
No, we didn't have that.
Because I know that anything in personal services has to go to the council.
It's another son of my part. It's for Linda Warner, HSA.
Okay, what do you want to present? Because it is in the anything in the 100 series, which is payroll, has to go back.
She presented a bill for medical services. We didn't have that in the account. Because there were, at the end of the year, there were several
Okay,
individuals.
you know everything's right, as what was presented to the commissioner.
Sure.
I believe it was. It should have been.
I make a motion and we approve the transfer that was submitted to the commissioners with the follow up on resolution. at the next meeting. Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to approve the transfer.
As it was presented to the commissioners.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Brad.
Hey, Dennis, why doesn't, come up with some type of quote for like maybe lapel mics that'll pick up the sound instead of having them sitting on a table, have them on your lapel, then you can hear a lot better than you can, because I can't hear 2/3, well, I can hear Beth and I can hear,
Because I carry.
yeah, and I can hear Jim, but I can't hear anybody else.
That's what, and Brad would need one either.
No.
I don't know, Brad, was that good or bad?
His voice always hear it well.
So got kids.
We should
Does the council have a list of minutes that are still unapproved? And if so, may I have that? And also the information on the encumbrances, is that available to the public? And if so, may I have that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's public record.
What do you want? Just the amounts, or you don't want them to tell you the details, you don't want this whole package? You just
You
want
want
the
to
amounts, or?
just in that?
Just inspection, and also whatever,
This is the,
what about a list of the minutes that are still unapproved?
What do we know that? Is it October or November? It's October in it, and there's 3 meetings in December. But, can I talk about what we talked about with minutes? Okay. Because I don't want to be out of line here with Greg. But we've kind of talked about minutes in the past, and, can you hear me? And one of the things is that, yes, his minutes were very detailed. In the past, we've had a lot of details in our minutes and stuff. And I told him just kind of, like you suggested, just kind of cut it down, because they are. I mean, and if you're the office holder doing minutes, that is the thing you put on the back burner, you know? And then they just mount, and the further you get away from that meeting, it's hard for you to remember things that happen. So then you've got to go back to your tapes, and thanks to Brenda, you can go back to the internet and look at the meeting. I mean, I've utilized what she's done 2 or 3 times just to get myself back to, okay, did we already do this? So we talked about kind of cutting them down, and also we talked about in his part-time, allowing someone else to do the minutes, and then him go back and critique them, and then present them, you know, once he felt they were appropriate. Just to type, it's the same process with the commissioners. It's a big job for both of them. You know, and the statute allows for him to do that. It just says he has to be the one that's on the and present. So he's got some options there to think about, and you know, anything to kind of help him through there.
becomes very burdensome.
One meeting will take 5 or 6 hours to be presidents.
That shouldn't be.
And
That should not be.
I told him the windmill, the one with the windmill meeting, that one would be more detailed, because that actually was a public hearing. anything but public hearing, you pretty much got to at least address who spoke and what the dust up. But as far as our minutes and stuff, it doesn't have to be that detailed unless we have a really obvious one that needs to be, you know, in detail. But other than that, I mean, I make that call.
So where do I get the list of those minutes? They're unapproved.
Ray would have those, he would have those, but I think, I mean, do you want it for date, or can we just sit here and say, I mean, we know we have not approved from October out.
So everything from October.
Anything from October to date, yes.
And you're reading them.
Well, we did approve the November 20th minutes, we were approved at last meeting. So I think it's October and December.
Is that enough?
You got one in 2011.
And then we got, we still have May, yes. We still have May 31st of 2011. And that's my office responsibility for that. I offered to try it, I did, but I don't know any better. That was you for the foundation on the windmill, or the, it was like 3 hours. And it was a public hearing. Actually, we, you know, there was one presented to us, that we went through in our meeting, and there was a lot of things that were left out, and that's what, I thought the things for that. And there was a lot of people saying the right things.
One quick question. The committees that we responded to, will they be notified, so they'll notify us when meetings are? I have no idea what some of these meetings are, what I need to do, or how do I find that out? Okay. Short committee report of what we're all, Move to adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn.